So Judy, tell us why you started What Would Judy Say?
You know, I realized that I was not in the 21st century. Everybody was involved in internet. They knew about computers. They knew about social media. And I, of course, was in the dark age, still beating a tom-tom. I thought over the years, I think that I've developed some wisdom. I certainly have heard enough of people's problems and stories to develop perspectives. But I know I haven't heard everything. So I thought, what better vehicle than a website to have people be able to share their stories, their life's events, their history on topics that really touch all of us. So every couple of weeks, I throw out a new topic, something that I found is recurring in my business, a problem that seems to never go away. And I say to people, you must have stories, good ones, cautionary tales. Share them with me, and I will share them with everybody else. And perhaps you can help a friend, allow somebody to look at their situation with a little bit of a different perspective. And then I hoped to be able to take some of those stories and some of my own and put them in a small book. So, when I say a small book, you know I have a short attention span, so it's going to be a small book.
Right.
Because I think that most people are quick learners. And I'll take each one of these topics and take some of my stories and some of yours, put them in a book as sort of a quick how-to guide. That's why I started the website.
You've had some very interesting stories. What has surprised you, do you think, the most about some of the readers and responses that you've gotten to your questions?
That the more things change, the more they stay the same. I think I've said more than once, marriage is happy, divorce is sad, you know, life's not fair, men stray, women get stretch marks, it's all the same, you know. And that is irrespective of whether you are rich or poor or young or old, or where you're a southerner or a northerner or easterner or westerner, come from the Midwest, emotions are the same. So that while the peculiar little quirks of the story may be different, there were threads running through all the stories that made it crystal clear to me that we're all basically the same emotionally.
Right. Now, the first book is What Would Judy Say? A Grown-Up Guide to Living Together with Benefits, which, of course, is another great title that you've come up with. Why that topic? And it's supposed to be a first in a series of books. Why did you start with that one?
Well, because I think that that's today where it starts. In my day, I said, but you know, you left your house in a white dress or a pine box, and I was really serious about that. I mean, my mother drove me to the movies until I was 17 years old on Friday night because she thought that if you walked on King's Highway, you were a bum. So she used to drive me to the movies, and she was out there. She said, what time is the movie over? You can go to the movies with your friends, but then there is no need for you to go out afterwards and walk the streets up and down. I will come and pick you up. And she did. And I remember saying, you know, some of my friends are going away for a weekend. I was 19 years old, and they were going away, I don't know, to one of the hotels in the Catskills for a weekend. And my father was very agreeable. He said, you can go, we'll all go. And they took me. Now, there were other young people there, and they were there by themselves, but I was there on Saturday night doing the cha-cha with my father. So things have changed, and I certainly have raised children and have been involved in my grandchildren, many of whom are teenagers now, and things are totally different. They don't think anything of saying, you know, 17, high school, we're going to Orlando for our graduation party. One of my grandchildren just came back from 4 days in Orlando with her graduating group of friends, and she's graduating from high school. I mean, I hardly took the subway before I was 21 years old. So things do change. And I think that young people who are testing the waters of relationships do now say, let's live together for a while before and see if it all works out, which I actually think is a very good idea. because one of my kids said to me, unless you live with somebody for a year or two, you're actually just meeting their representative.
Right, you're on your best behavior.
You don't, or as I said to one of my kids when they had a problem before they got married, I said, sweetheart, this is as good as it gets. It's not going to get any better. If you can't take this behavior, I guarantee you, when the bloom is off the rose, you're going to want to stuff a sock in his mouth. So I think that living together experience is a positive thing. However, the caveat to that is that there are no laws for people who are testing the waters. There are no laws for almost marrieds. There are no laws for just living together. And people make big mistakes during this living together experience. And sometimes those big mistakes carry over 5 years, 10 years. You can get yourself in a financial pickle that can last forever. So I think that there should be certain ground rules, and they should be clear and explicit before you take that plunge into living.
But it's also
together.
a fun book.
It's a fun book. I mean, it's a fun book. I think one of the expressions that I found when I was trying to come up with some cute ones was an African proverb. And the African proverb is, you have to be an idiot, and I'm paraphrasing,
Right.
You have to be an idiot to test the waters by jumping in with both feet. You take a toe and you say, is this hot? No, not so bad. Well, let me put in a little bit more of a foot and let me see how it is. And then if you put one foot in, that's fine. But if you're testing the waters and you do it by jumping into the puddle and the puddle happens to be 10 feet deep and you don't swim, you're an idiot.
Down.
Right.